Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The Fantasy Cave podcast is here, and we are back. How you beautiful people doing? We're going mobile yet again, because there is a issue with my internet at the moment. So we have to go on the phone, which I do have to say, thank you guys so much. This is the Thanksgiving Day episode. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for subscribing to the Bat Brand channel. We don't do just the podcast here. I do a lot of Pokemon content. I do a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh content. I do a lot of different things. Gaming, different stuff like that. We stream some games and stuff like that, but there's no big AAA games coming out at the moment. But yeah, we are going to break down the Week 12 games, the Turkey Day games, and all the games on Sunday. There's no teams on bye, so you don't have to worry about any of those buys coming up or anything like that, or who to replace. You are at full strength. And I do have to say, this fantasy season has been doing pretty good for yours truly, and me and my friends. Like a lot of them, they're doing very well as well. I'm in a league where I think everyone in one division is 6-5 or 5-6. That's very close for an entire division to anyone's game. And then in my division, where we originally made this podcast for, I'm a game behind at 7-3, and they are 8-2, I believe. I think actually no, we're both the same. Oh no, I'm 7-4. I apologize. So I'm 7-4. So I really just need one more win to get in the playoffs, and I'm set. So you get in the playoffs, and then after that, your season starts from there. So really, it's just getting ready for the playoffs at this point, and priming yourself for what's to come. And we are going to start with the first game of the week on Thanksgiving Day. The Bills, who had to leave their home stadium because it was covered in snow, they went to Detroit and beat the Cleveland Browns last week. And Detroit is on a 3-game win streak right now. They have a chance to upset some people here. And the over-under, I believe, is... Let me check this out here. The over-under is... I thought the over-under was pretty high. I thought the over-under was... Do we have the over-unders? We do not. I thought we did have the over-under. Oh, the over-under is 54.5. So that says some really good things going forward for what this game could entail. Could see a lot of points in this game. Both defenses have not been as good as advertised as of late. Detroit's defense has been pretty good as of late, and Buffalo's defense has faltered a tiny bit. In this game, it's a no shadow of a doubt you're playing Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, because it's a very good matchup for both Diggs and Davis. But Devin Singletary had a really good game last week. Are you willing to play him? I would not, just because Detroit's the Lions defense has been better against the run lately, but they just give tons of points to the passing game. So Dawson Knox could be a guy you could even play at tight end, and that's a guy who could have some big targets as well. And this could be a back and forth game as well. I mean, who knows? Jared Goff is not worthy of being started, but the guys who are Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamal Williams. Both those guys, like Jamal Williams, I know it's a tougher matchup, but when they get close to to the end zone, he pops it in. And last week was a tough matchup against the Giants, and he popped in 3 scores. But Swift can't be relied on anymore. He's not even getting 10 carries a game. In a lot of the leagues I have been in, I have dropped him. I have let him go and well, not dropped him. I have traded him. So you don't want to drop him, but try and trade him and see what you can get for him. I actually traded him away and got I got George Pickens out of it. So going into hopefully the playoff schedule, where he has some really good schedules going forward in the playoffs. In this game, Detroit could give a very good game to Buffalo. I strongly do feel that, but it's Thanksgiving Day, and the only thing that still goes on Thanksgiving Day is turkey and the Lions losing on Thanksgiving. So Buffalo is going to be your winner. Moving on to the next game, it's the Giants at 7-3 and the Dallas Cowboys at 7-3. We'll find out about just how good the Giants are. Honestly, I don't think they are that good. I think this is a team that they just lost Wan'Dale Robinson for the year. They lost Sterling Shepard. Their budding rookie tight end is done. It's just not looking good for them. And the Giants as a whole, the games they've won is because they have played crap teams. I mean, they've beaten the Packers. Packers are terrible this year. They've beaten the Vikings. Okay. Have they beaten the Vikings? No, they haven't. They beat a couple other teams, but they lose to Seattle, so it makes no sense. But Dallas, they are back at full power. Dak is back. Pollard has just been a beast so far this year, and honestly, the over/under is 45.5 points. So that gives a pretty good. I think that leaves them with 18 total points. The Giants. That is pretty decent, I would say. But I'm not starting anybody for the Giants, especially after what Kirk Cousins couldn't do against this defense last week. Barkley, you have to play Barkley, so like Saquon's playing for you. But on the Cowboy side, like Dak can be played, of course. Pollard needs to be played, and I think Zeke's gonna score as well. I think Zeke does get a score in, and of course I do love CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz as well, obviously. And I think those guys obviously will always perform, and it's a given. All the things I'm talking about right now, Dallas is winning this football game. They curb stomp the Giants last time they played them, but it is a division game. Anything is possible. I do have to give the edge to Dallas on that game as well. Now, moving on to the nightcap, which is not going to be a great game. I'll be honest, the game does not look too good for the New England struggled to put points up on the Jets. I don't feel like it's going to be that big of a difference from against Minnesota. Minnesota looked terrible against the Cowboys last week. Again, this is a primetime game, and primetime games, Kirk Cousins not that great. You could start him, you could, but I'm not willing to start either quarterback in a matchup where both their defenses puts up some real, like, both their defenses, like, not Minnesota, but New England's offense is terrible, but their defense is really good, and they will try to shut down Kirk Cousins and take away the number one option, which is Justin Jefferson, even though Justin Jefferson still has to be played in your lineup every week. But the only guy I'm willing to start is Ramondre Stevenson. I see it this way, like, Mac Jones needs to be benched. At this point, if you benched Zach Wilson, Mac Jones needs benched. Which, by the way, Zach Wilson, we'll talk about him later because he did get a nice benching, and he is no longer the starter for this week. It's looking like Bailey Zappi looks like the guy who they should be playing for this season, and Mac Jones just doesn't have it. He looked decent, but like around him, you need weapons that can promote like his ability. Like when he was in Alabama, he had Jamison Williams. He had Devonta Smith. He had some really good weapons. He had Najee Harris, for God's sake. So like they had good targets. It's just in New England, who do you have? I mean, you have Jacoby Myers, you have washed up receivers and Devontae Parker. Okay, yay. You never use him. And you have two big boy tight ends in Hunter Henry and Johnny Smith. There's no excuse for you not to at least put up points. And in this game, Minnesota is going to wipe the floor with them. The over-under is 42.5. It could be a lower scoring game, but Minnesota is going to win this game. And honestly, you're starting Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, and that's it. In this game, I really do like the upside that maybe Adam Thielen tries to get in a score here, but I don't see that this being the week against New England. Moving on to the Sunday slate, the Chicago Bears take on the New York Jets. New York Jets at 6-4. They just benched their quarterback, Zach Wilson. At this moment in time, we do not know who the starter is. We did have a scare with Justin Fields. He put up another great game running the ball and throwing, which, as a Bears fan, I know we're 3-8, but I'm very happy to see where this is going with him. And all the sky's the limit with him going forward. Over under is 38.5. Doesn't really put a lot of, not a lot of potential for fantasy points. But if Justin Fields is on the field, you have to play him, even with a hurt shoulder. It's his non-throwing shoulder. He'll be all right though. But I will say, Justin Fields, him and David Montgomery even having a really good game last week. So he's definitely worthy of being started as well. Because, I mean, it is the Jets defense. They do give some points up to the run. And if you're in need of a flex, Darnell Mooney could be your guy who you could be willing to play. And with Zach Wilson being benched, Michael Carter goes up a little bit. Especially if it's Mike White. If it's Mike White, Michael Carter can be started in your lineups. If it's not Mike White, I mean, either way, you could still be fine, but I still think this bodes very well for Garrett Wilson, who, with Zach Wilson, he had some good games, but with the other quarterbacks, he actually, I hope Joe Flacco gets the start, because with Flacco, he put it in places where his receivers could get it. And honestly, I think they had the best chance of winning with... They want to go on they are still a playoff contending team. They could make it to the playoffs if they continue on winning. But if they keep losing, and Zach Wilson, not really taking... Really, he should be taking responsibility for the loss. And he's not taking responsibility for them losing. And... for God's sakes, you should not be throwing up 75 yards. I mean, Justin Fields throws more yards than you. So this is going to be a very not entertaining game. Justin Fields, though, every time he touches a football field is entertainment. So I do feel like it will be a little saved by Justin Fields. But in this game, I think Chicago upsets the Jets. I really do. I think this is a week we could see the Jets start to falter more. It all depends on who's the starting quarterback. If it's Flacco, we could, Justin Fields will have to have a much better day. But with his hurt shoulder, I mean, the last 2 weeks we were expected to win and had a really good game and lost. But we're building. And I think we're getting better each week, which I am super excited to see that personally as a Bears fan. Which, if you guys, let me know in the comments down below what kind of team you're rooting for, how you feel your team is doing so far this year. So far, mine, not great, but I'm okay with this. I'm okay with them sucking, because the worse they do, better draft picks we get. Sorry about that. Moving on to the Buccaneers and the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, coming off actually, they got torched by the Buffalo Bills, but they put up some good yards. And this is the last game you're going to see Jacoby Brissett starting, because next week Deshaun Watson does come back and he is the starter. But Cleveland, they aren't going to beat Tampa, especially with 2 weeks to prepare. I think in this game, the over-under is 42.5 points. And in this game, Tom Brady can definitely be played for you in like a streaming sort of category. Chubb will bounce back after what happened last week as well. I know he had some really bad yardage against the Bills, but that's expected. The Bills are pretty good against the run. Very good. They've been bleeding points lately, but lately the like Nick Chubb not scoring really put a damper on you. And he played Tampa this week. It's not going to be that much better for Chubb, but you have to play Chubb. It came out recently on a report with the Tampa running backs that they're going to ride the hot hand. What does that mean if you have Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White? Honestly, if you have a better option, I'm not okay playing either, just because like Leonard Fournette hasn't been hot right now, and Rachaad White. What is Rachaad White really giving you? Rachaad White had a good game with Fournette out, but if both of them are going to just be riding a hot hand, we have a situation like New England or the Rams or any of these other teams that are playing by hot hand running backs, which it could work. But if like you still need to play Leonard Fournette, I understand. I understand you can get away with playing him. Devin Singletary had a good game against them last week, and Leonard Fournette can still do stuff. But Rachaad White's still a guy who's worthy to be stashed and see what he does and see if he is indeed the starter. And honestly, on the wide receiver side, like, you have to play Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Those are the three, like, need to be played. Godwin finally got a touchdown, and going forward, I love his matchups, especially in the playoffs. He is a guy that I think you're going to start seeing him get healthier and healthier and healthier, and this the week we're going to see, maybe the Bucs finally start getting it together. Finally start like, hey, we need to take control of this division. We're a much better team than we should be. There's no reason why we should be 5-5 right now. We should be running away with this division, not be letting the Falcons, who are 5-6, live on in this division. And in this game on the Cleveland side, like, Amari Cooper needs played, obviously. Njoku, I mean, he had a pretty down game, but I think they're going to have to keep up with points. So, like, if you have Njoku, with tight ends, you don't have much better solutions to play. So I think you have to play Njoku. And with Donovan Peoples-Jones, he had a good game, so like he's worthy of at least a flex consideration. But other than that, I don't really see much more like options like can really go through unless you're in deeper leagues. And even then, those guys aren't worthy to talk about. Tampa Bay is going to win this game, I believe. I feel like strongly that they will take this game. Moving on to the Bengals at 6-4, coming off a victory against those Stellars, and the 7-3 Tennessee Titans. The Titans are always this team that this is what they do. They win hard-fought games. They do not have a good offense, but their run game with Derrick Henry leads them to victory every year. And they will probably get a 1 or 2 seed in the playoffs and lose in the first game that they play. This, and like the Bengals look like they're back on track as well. So this is a game that could be rather interesting. I believe the over-under is 42.5. Okay, so that doesn't leave a lot to be asked for right now. Joe Burrow, of course, needs played against Tennessee's defense. They suffer against the pass badly, so it looks like from what he actually came out and said, now don't take this as a grain of salt because it is Joe Burrow saying it, but Jamar Chase might be back against the Titans, so be on the lookout on injury reports going into Sunday. If he is back, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins become both must starts, especially with Joe Mixon dealing with an injury. He does have a questionable tag. So both him and Chase both have questionable tags. So be on the lookout for both of them. If Mixon is declared out, Samaje Perine can be played. He's not going to get a lot on the run because Tennessee's run defense is very good. But one thing that they are very good at with Perine is throwing him the football. He scored 3 touchdowns last week, not running. He caught those touchdowns. So this is the week you could get away with playing Perine. I will say if you have an opponent that is the Mixon owner or just someone who knows they need a running back to play against you, go pick up Perine and just stash him on the bottom of your bench. Like they ain't gonna see it coming. Trust me. On the Tennessee Titans side as well, you can't. I wouldn't play Tannehill or any of the wide receivers. Treylon Burks is a guy that may be interesting, but Cincinnati's defense against the pass is still pretty good, even without Awuzie, who I believe has been knocked out for the year, if I'm not mistaken. I do not see him, but I'm almost pretty sure he is done for the year. Yeah. And with him knocked out, I mean, Treylon Burks could get a little extra in the secondary, but I don't feel like a lot of them are worthy to be played unless Treylon Burks is just a flex play. And then Derrick Henry, I shouldn't need to tell you to play Derrick Henry. You're playing him every week regardless. So anyway, in this game, I got to pick a winner. So Cincy did just come up of a thumping off the Cincinnati Bengals, and Tennessee just tore up the Packers. So this could be a game where it could go back and forth. I strongly feel like that could be the case. I'm going to go with Tennessee winning a close one. They always do these things where they win a close one, and which Joe Burrow are we going to get? So I'm going to go with Tennessee to win this game, a close one. Moving on to the Houston Texans against the 7-3 Miami Dolphins. Now, in this game, the over-under, I believe, is 47. That's one of the higher ones of the week. And in this game, Houston actually doesn't give a lot of points up to the quarterbacks, and wide receivers, but that's because they bleed points to the running back. But I think this is a team in Miami, they do run the ball, but they more likely to throw it. They are throw first, then they play off they do the run off the pass. So honestly, this may be a team where they may do the opposite. And if Derek Stingley, which is questionable, if he is out, it just makes it more likely you're going to play them. So 2 is a start, but just lower your expectations, because if they do get up by a lot of points early, the 2 is not going to do a whole bunch. And then Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, of course, are both plays every week, regardless of what they put up. The ceiling for Waddle and Tyreek Hill are huge. And then Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, the matchup is too tasty not to play them. I know last week Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson dropped the ball, but Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson are guys that they both got touchdowns last week. They could be played. I'm worthy to play them over a lot of other running backs that are lower tier than him. I'm even looking to even play him over Zeke if I can. And on the Houston side, like Dameon Pierce, last week he only ran for 8 yards. We finally saw the human version of Dameon Pierce. He'll get back on track this week. Miami's defense is not scary. They do not intimidate me by the slightest. And I think this is a game that Davis Mills can air it out a little bit. I do think that Brandon Cooks could have a decent game as well, at least as a flex play, but nothing more. He just hasn't been putting up a bunch of production. But Dameon Pierce is going to bounce back, and I do feel like he'll show that that last week was just a fluke. So moving, and Washington's defense is very, very good against the run. So Miami is winning this game, though. No doubt. And then speaking about the Commanders are back at 500. So, like, this is a team that since they made the switch from Carson Wentz to Taylor Heineke, um, they have done very well. I mean, Taylor Heineke is a guy who he doesn't care about throwing picks or just throwing the ball. And yeah, they could come back to bite him. But Heineke is loved in Washington. He is beloved there, and as you saw on the top, Chase Young has been activated by Washington, so they're already good on the run. They're gonna get 10 times better now with Chase Young activated and back, and Kyle Pitts was just put on IR. He is done for the year with an MCL tear, I believe, or sprain, one or the other. He is done for the year. So, what does that mean for Atlanta? So, they could up Cordero Patterson a little bit, but against the run, Washington is very, very stout. I mean, look what they did to Damian Pierce last week, and the over/under is 41 points. So, look at what they did to them last week. I see it's tough because you know what Cordero Patterson can do. You know what he's capable of doing, and this week against Washington, I don't think this is the week he does it. He did return a touchdown back, which doesn't happen often. With some leagues, you do get points for if he's the one that returns the touchdown. That's why Devin Hester was so good for years in fantasy, because he had that opportunity that he could just do all that stuff. He was like a Taysom Hill. But I'm not looking to start the running backs for Atlanta. And then, of course, we're not starting Marcus Mariota either. But Drake London is interesting, though. Drake London is a guy that he's going to be necessary now because there's no one else to throw the football to. Kyle Pitts is gone. I do think that he will get more of the targets that Kyle Pitts wasn't a lot, but I think that he'll pick up on those targets. And on the Washington side, like, Heineke could be started. Carson Wentz has been activated, but he will be the backup. He will not be starting, obviously. And the running backs for Washington, Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson. After what Brian Robinson did last week against the worst run defense in the league, he can't be started anymore. He's almost worthy of being dropped. But Antonio Gibson, I think that he could have a good game as well because he is involved in the passing game. So this could be a week that you could rely on him. And then, of course, there's Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel as well. And I believe that was an update. Well, Okay, so it was just confirmed. Sean McVay just confirmed Matthew Stafford is out against the Chiefs. So if you have that Chiefs defense, start him because it looks like they may be playing John Wolford or Bryce Perkins, the third string quarterback. It's not looking good for them. And they have no run game. They have no Cooper Kupp. This is looking like a team you can definitely play their defense against them because they do not scare you. And as I was speaking about the wide receivers for Washington. Curtis Samuel, he's a start, and so is Terry McLaurin. I believe is Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson is, I believe he is back as well. He's the only one I'm not worthy to start just yet. He's been kind of down since Heineke has taken over. So it's been literally Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel splashed in with Heineke starting now. So in this game, Atlanta, Washington, I think Washington wins this. Washington has been on a roll lately, and I think that they continue this little run they've been on here. So moving on to the Broncos and Panthers, big odd week for the Broncos. The Broncos are just terrible, by the way. Both these teams are downright awful. As you see on here, Melvin Gordon is on here, and he has been waived by the team along with another guy we're going to talk about later. And Chase Edmonds is now done for the year as well. So it is Latavius Murray. A volume alone, he's worthy to be started because at least he doesn't kill you, but the yardage wise, he averages like 3 a carry, not even. That's not good enough. If you have better options, I'd play them, but I'll also keep an eye on Melvin Gordon and see where he if he gets picked up on waivers. As well. And Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited, you can't. He's been one of the worst, probably the biggest bust in fantasy this year, I would say. Um, just it's been so bad for Russell Wilson. So many people put all these hopes and dreams on him and wanted him to be a Super Bowl contender, and it's all because Russell Wilson got traded there. They thought that they were going to be great. Well, it's not looking like that now. But Denver's defense and their little plays could be enough, well, should be enough to beat Carolina, right? Right? I mean, who knows? Carolina's side, it looks like Sam Darnold could be getting the start if possible. If he doesn't, you got Baker. Like, I hate to say it, like, I know Foreman had a down week last week, but it's Denver's defense. I'm not looking to start a single Panther, DJ Moore included. I know if Darnold starts, that DJ Moore has had more of his better games against Darnold, but he's not worthy to be started first game back. Especially if they're going to run the football more to protect Darnold. That is what they always do with quarterbacks. So, or any player that comes back on injuries, they put him on a pitch count. So he's not worthy to be started. And really, the only Denver guys I would play is Cortland Sutton, just because he could get a touchdown and he's their best target, and Greg Dulcich, who has performed well enough to give you yardage at the tight end position. And if you're not Travis Kelce, you're suffering at tight end right now. So in this game, like, I kind of just want to be ballsy and just say Carolina's going to take it, but I think Denver's defense is enough to win them this football game. All right, moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 3-7 against the Baltimore Ravens at 7-3. Baltimore has been on a roll lately. Lamar Jackson has been not himself. He hasn't been playing to himself lately, and it's came out there's been something going on with him. They don't entirely know what it is, but it hasn't been confirmed what it is. But he popped up questionable today on the injury report. It's not confirmed what it is right now. Oh, did Darrell Henderson get picked up by the Jags? Oh. Huh. Okay. Well, hey, there's some news for you. Darrell Henderson got picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars. You learn something new every day. I know I did. But Lamar Jackson, if he doesn't play, like, you're scrambling for quarterback right now. So it's not good. I don't know if something happened to him over the week or if it was just a practice thing, but just be on the lookout for what's going on with Lamar. Trevor Lawrence, by the way, cannot be played. I mean, against Baltimore's defense, the way they're playing right now, I wouldn't do it. Travis Etienne can definitely be played, though. He's their best player. And Christian Kirk is still top 12 at wide receiver. You got to play Christian Kirk. And on the Baltimore side, like, the run game, it's been Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake maybe in a flex consideration, but he's not a must start for me. If the Gus Bus is back, I'm thinking about playing Gus Edwards and playing the Gus Bus, but if he's not back, like, you got Kenyon Drake, and I'm not looking to play Kenyon Drake. That's just me. But if you need him, he can flex him. But on the receiving side, do we have a injury designation? No, we do not. So Mark Andrews most likely will be back for this game. So you got to play Mark Andrews. And then the wide receivers. Last week, it was Demarcus Robinson that had a really good game, and he has been better since they started him over that he got the start with Rashad Bateman being done for the year. With him being done, um, if you need a stream starter, like you need a streamer, I know he was on waiver wires everywhere to uh, go pick up Demarcus Robinson. He is actually worthy to be started against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense really isn't that scary if you're desperate for a wide receiver, but with no teams on bye, like unless it's injury related, I'm not looking to play these these wide receivers for Baltimore. And if it's not Lamar Jackson this week, like I ain't looking to play any of them. So here's how I'm going to say this. I think Baltimore still wins this game regardless who is at quarterback because Tyler Huntley is still a very good backup to Lamar Jackson. I think he's one of the best backups in the league. So I think that they still win against Jacksonville regardless of who is quarterback. Next, we have the Chargers at 5-5. Heartbreaking loss last week against the Chiefs, against the 4-7 Arizona Cardinals, who got thumped against the San Francisco 49ers. And am I crazy to think it's going to happen again? Because, I mean, it probably is. It most likely is, because it looks like in this game, the over-under is high, one of the higher ones on the week. In this game, Rondell Moore is questionable going in, and so is Gerald Everett, and Mike Williams re-aggravated his ankle injury. Does not bode well for that. But Herbert can be started again. You saw that ability Herbert had with all his weapons back again. And Eckler, of course, gets started every week. He's the running back one in fantasy. And it's great to see Herbert back. If you have a trade deadline, go try to trade for Herbert now because the window is closing. It's closing quick. Kyler Murray, I think that he is questionable going in this game. No, he's not. Okay. So if Kyler Murray is back, he obviously can be played against the Chargers secondary. If he's not, it could be a third string quarterback. If Colt McCoy does not play either, at that point, like you got to downgrade everybody other than D-Hop, who DeAndre Hopkins always has good games regardless. I mean, since he's come off of suspension, he has just gotten back to form automatically and has been a PPR machine. For also the tight ends, for Arizona have been pretty good too. Trey McBride, he took over for Zach Ertz being done for the year, and he looked good. If you guys remember this rookie, he was the first rookie tight end taken off the board by Arizona in the draft last year, and Trey McBride looked very good. He had 4 catches for like 87 yards, but that is good for a tight end. That looks very good. You're getting yardage. I'd like to see what he does with Kyler Murray, but if you're desperate for a tight end, you need to pick up Trey McBride. I really do think you need to. The running game for Arizona, James Conner, I mean, Pacheco had a good game against him last week, so I was like, you can flex Conner. I think he's just like a low-end running back 2 and nothing more. And the wide receivers for the Chargers, like Keenan Allen, like he's back. He looks like he's back to not 100%. They still put him on a pitch count, but he had to play more because of what was going on. I still think you need to play Keenan Allen, obviously, and if Mike Williams plays, you have to play him. But if he doesn't, Josh Palmer is a guy who this is kind of his like coming out party a little bit, because you're seeing that a lot of people were wondering if they should get another receiver. I don't think they need to, because Josh Palmer he put out like amazing game last week. If you didn't watch that game on Sunday night, he made some amazing catches and some amazing plays when Mike Williams got hurt. And honestly, Josh Palmer is a guy I feel like if Mike Williams doesn't play, he can be started every week. And I think the Chargers get back on track. Arizona's defense is just too bad, and I don't think that they can do anything against this Chargers team. They can put up points, but I don't think they're going to do much more than that. So here is the next matchup. Seattle is 6-4, and Las Vegas Raiders at 3-7. They have just been they had an amazing overtime victory against Denver last week, but it took so much for them to beat the Denver Broncos, which are terrible. It is a 47.5 over-under, and in this game, Geno Smith needs to be started. Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf are all must-starts because Vegas' defense sucks. Unless your name's Russell Wilson and you can't exploit anything, then in that case, that's a different situation. But Seattle is probably one of the most surprising teams in the NFL to me. I really do feel like out of all the teams this year, this is the team that's been surprising me the most. With no Russell Wilson, a Geno Smith quarterback. I think Geno Smith is worthy of being the comeback player of the year because, he is very shocking. This is a guy who he was sitting on benches last year. And was a spot starter when Russell Wilson got hurt. And now, first year starting at full, pretty much, I believe. I don't think he's ever been a full-time starter for a whole season before. No, he hasn't. So if he can stick it out for the whole season, he's had a very good year. On this side, though, Derek Carr, you could do better than Derek Carr, but I understand if you would want to stream Derek Carr and Seattle. Josh Jacobs needs played, and of course, Devontae Adams needs played. Both those guys are just too good not to play. And that's it. That's it. I'm not looking to play any of these other little guys. Foster Moreau's interesting. Foster Moreau is interesting with no more Darren Waller. Moreau is a guy if you're in need of a tight end. He did put up good points last week, and Derek Carr does look his way in the end zone when they're in the red zone. He looks his way there. So, I honestly feel like, and then Noah Fant is a guy that you could play as well. It's Vegas. Their whole defense sucks, so play everyone you can against Vegas. So, Seattle is going to win this game hands down. They're not Denver. They're just not Denver. Speaking of a team where what has happened, the Super Bowl champ Rams. How do you go from being a Super Bowl champion to this? I have no clue. Their running game is in shambles. They have no Cooper Kupp. Matthew Stafford has a concussion and is just being declared out for this game. Let me actually bring up the rest of this. Wolford's questionable. That's not good. And it did come out today. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was put on injured reserve. So, and the over-under is 43. So, Patrick Mahomes is MVP right now. He is absolutely MVP. No one's even close to him right now. I honestly feel like Pacheco, this is the game. You see Pacheco finally just getting a lot of the running back carries and Jerick McKinnon being splashed in. And yeah, I don't see Pacheco not letting up anytime soon. Keep an eye on Kyren Williams for the running backs in the Rams, just because Kyren Williams could be a guy that could get a lot of the carries now that Darrell Henderson is gone. Cam Akers is still there. I don't understand what they're doing, but you're not starting anyone who has a Ram color scheme on their jersey going forward. But Patrick Mahomes is a smash start. I love him this week. Love him every week. He hasn't scored less than 20 points all year. I think one time he scored 19.5 in a game for me, but that was his lowest. And Pacheco needs played, obviously, and then, of course, the wide receiver situation for Kansas City is a little all over the place, but Justin Watson could be necessary because Tony's out. Tony is questionable with another hamstring, so he ain't going to play. Juju's hurt, so be on the eye for that. MVS could be the only healthy receiver other than Sky Moore, which Sky Moore looked good, by the way. I think that with all the injuries, Sky Moore could start getting some more production in this, and we may start seeing Sky Moore producing, and they may start using him more. But yeah, honestly, it's Kelsey and no one else for Kansas City in the passing game. Unless you're desperate and want like Jerick McKinnon or something. But yeah, I honestly feel Kansas City will not lose this game. It's not a chance that they do against the Rams with nobody. Then moving on to the San Francisco 49ers at 6-4 against the New Orleans Saints at 4-7. This San Francisco team, since they've gotten Christian McCaffrey, have looked really good. Their defense is high-powered right now. San Fran is another problem right now that could be a problem in the playoffs and be a team that, first of all, no one's talking about San Francisco. No one's talking about them at all. And this is a team, they could win the NFC. They could win the NFC with this firepower and their defense playing the way they are. They could win the NFC and go to a Super Bowl. That's how good this team is. In this game, New Orleans, honestly, the only guy that's like, you got to play Olave, but San Francisco, man, they didn't let much happen against them last week against the Cardinals. Now, granted, that was a backup quarterback, but I'm pretty sure Andy Dalton is still the starter, so yeah, I'm pretty sure it is not going to go well for anyone that is a Saint. But you have to play Kamara every week. But it's still, you have to lower your expectations because San Francisco is still a very good defense. They gave not a lot up to the run game or pass. This is a game that Olave is probably the only guy I'm worthy one to start against in this game, obviously, because he's necessary. Jimmy G is actually a guy who, stream-wise, he threw 4 touchdowns last week. So this could be another week that we do see, Jimmy G playing well and is worthy of being streamed. So I think if Lattimore's questionable, if he's out, you better stream your Jimmy G's. That's all I'm saying. And the over-under is 43 points. So, and on the running game for San Francisco for the Niners. Of course, CMC needs played, and then Elijah Mitchell, like lately, has actually got more of the running back carries than Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey has been used a lot in the passing game more. So both of them are still worthy of being starts, obviously. CMC more than Mitchell because of the passing work. And then on the passing side, like Kittle always dominates Arizona, so that wasn't shocking that he had 2 scores last week. But this week against New Orleans, I think he could have another decent day. Ayuk, Debo, of course you're playing Debo and Ayuk the way he's playing. He just had 2 scores last week. He's a touchdown-dependent guy, but I think you still need to start Ayuk after what he's been doing. And in this game, I mean, San Francisco's going to keep streaking. I do think that San Francisco wins this game rather handily against the Saints. And then moving on to the Sunday Night Football game, the 9-1 Eagles against the 4-7 Green Bay Packers, 46.5 over under. Green Bay just come off of a heartbreaking loss to the Titans. This is a team that has not looked good. Over the last couple weeks have gotten better offensively moving, but Philly's defense has been showing some cracks lately. So I do feel like Green Bay can put up points in this game. Aaron Rodgers against this Philly defense, I'm not looking to start him. I think Aaron Jones, that's the one place that Philly struggles defensively, it's against the run. So Aaron Jones is definitely a guy I'm looking to start. And then Christian Watson has been scoring touchdowns left and right. I think you have to play Christian Watson, and that's it for the passing game. Like, Allen Lazard, like, Allen Lazard's Allen Lazard. He could score a touchdown at any time, but right now it's been Christian Watson. And I think with the way Christian Watson's been scoring touchdown, I mean, he scored 5 in 2 weeks. You have to keep playing Christian Watson. And then on the Philly side, like, Jalen Hurts needs played, obviously, every single week. Miles Sanders, you could play him against Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay's defense doesn't scare me. And then A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, those are guys like Devonta Smith is at least a flex. And A.J. Brown, I mean, he's been down the last couple weeks, but I think this is the week we do see him get back on track against Green Bay secondary. Jair Alexander is going to be on this man, though. It's not going to be an easy day for A.J. Brown. That saying, I think Philly does win this game. It will not shock me to see an upset with Green Bay, though. It would not upset me. It'll surprise me at all. And then moving on to the Monday Night Football game, the Steelers at 3-7 against the 4-6-1 Indianapolis Colts. You have a team who is number 1 against wide receivers, and a team who gives up the most points up against the wide receiver. So, yeah, this is going to be fun. The Pittsburgh side, really, you can't play Pickett. You can't play Najee. You can't play Deontay. Pickens is a flex play right now. You can play him coming up soon. But Freiermuth, I think, is the only guy who's worthy to be started, especially with him getting He has been getting a lot of targets and getting worked in the offense more and more and more each week. I think Freiermuth will be necessary. And then Matty Ice, I think Matty Ice is actually a sneaky stream this week against Pittsburgh. The Steelers, like I said, they give up a ton of points to wide receivers. They give a lot of points up to quarterbacks. I think Matty Ice can put up a good game. And then Jonathan Taylor, he has been looking good again the last 2 weeks. Of course, you're starting Jonathan Taylor. And then the wide receivers for Indy. You have Michael Pittman, you got Pity City, and you got Paris Campbell. In this game, Michael Pittman hasn't really blown up yet, but this is the week I think we should see it. It is Pittsburgh, and they give up a ton of points to wideouts. So I think this is the week we could see it with Pittman. I think he is a must start. And then Paris Campbell in PPR leagues is even higher to me than Pittman, because Matt Ryan gives him the ball and he catches 8 or 9 passes a game. So that's just amazing if you're in full point PPR for sure. And then the over-under, by the way, is 39. So this isn't going to be a high-scoring game. This isn't going to be exciting for fantasy. I will say that. So in this game, this could go either way. And who do I want to give this to? That's the big question. I feel like Pittsburgh could be the victor here. We're going to give it to Pittsburgh. I'm going to give them a win. Why not? Why not? Give it a shot, right? But okay, that was all the matchups for this week. Before I end, I do want to say thank you all so much. This Thanksgiving, I am thankful for all of you. I am thankful for all of you, the supporters, the people who haven't even started supporting yet. I know you watch this. I know that you, even if you have not subscribed, I appreciate all the content that you watch of mine, and and thank you for dealing with the the problems here and there and the inconsistency. Um, I thank you all, and I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. And as always, stay awesome, my fantasy cave community.